Come closer, I want to show you something. Physics has been hacked. Mixing water and oil is now possible. And it stays combined. How cool is that? So of course, I took a step further and used alcohol and different fats. No emulsifiers, no additives, no separation. This is a brand new technique from Iain McPherson. He calls it dancing.
We're going to call this new technique dancing, and it creates one liquid, but basically in minutes.
And it might completely change how we build flavor into cocktails. And the wild part is, you only need one countertop tool to make it happen. So in this episode, we're breaking down what it is, how it works, and why I think this could change how we approach cocktails. I'll also test it across 3 different drinks to see where it actually works, and test if you can do this with batch cocktails too. All of this might also force us to rethink something fundamental about cocktails. But to be honest, I'm not sure everybody's ready for it.
It's cocktail time.
So after bringing you suppression and perfecting cryo concentration and switching, Iain McPherson is back with a new technique to shake up the cocktail world.
Surprise, it's not actually completely affiliated with freezing.
As you know from school experiments, just combining liquid and oil shouldn't work. But under the right circumstances, dancing is possible. And to create the right environment, you need this, a vacuum blender. Here's one proof that it works. This is coconut oil infused tequila. I'll show you 2 more options later on. Before anyone jumps in the comments and says they've done that before, hear me out. Here's why this is such a big deal. First, no emulsifiers.
The vacuum, for some reason, really allows it to absorb into the liquid and find that we're basically vacuum homogenizing the liquids.
Second, you're using way less fat than you would with fat washing.
We can use less oil, less waste, more absorption, even costs. If you're looking from a bar manager or bar owner's perspective, this is also helping us save and be more efficient with the ingredients we're using.
Third, it's fast. No freezing, no waiting overnight.
But then we found with the vacuum blender, it creates one liquid basically in minutes, which is really cool.
And finally, the mixture stays stable.
I've got loads of liquids that are still very much as one liquid, not separated after months.
Here's a list of combinations I think will work great, and I'll test them in cocktails later on, including batch Negroni. Iain also mentioned that rum and ghee, which is clarified butter, would probably work well. I think trying this technique with 3 cocktails will be enough. But first, let's see how the magic happens. I'll start with tequila and coconut oil. I'm using Código Blanco, an additive-free 100% Blue Weber agave tequila. For this to work, we need to heat up both the spirit and the fat. So pour your tequila and coconut oil into separate sous vide bags and vacuum seal both. Doing it like this makes it possible to use the fat for multiple batches, or with different spirits. Place the bags in the sous vide bath set to 50 degrees Celsius, or 120 Fahrenheit. This will fully melt the fat and bring everything to the same temperature, which makes it much easier to combine later on. For olive oil Campari and peanut butter whiskey, I'm combining the fat and the spirit directly in the same bag. For both of these, just 1.5% of fat is enough. That's based on the weight of the liquid. If you don't have a sous vide, you can also do this with a double boiler. Just put everything in a jar and gently heat it up over simmering water. Using a cooking thermometer, you can basically create a DIY sous vide setup. What if you already have a batch cocktail? Throw that in the sous vide, and you can combine it with the fat later on. After about 15 minutes, it's ready to be transferred into the vacuum blender. With coconut oil, I wanted to add a strong coconut note to our tequila, so I bumped the percentage of oil to 3% of the weight of the spirit. That's still a lot less than what you'd need for fat washing. I'll need this oil for the Negroni later too. Now the key part of the process happens. First, pull a vacuum for about 45 seconds. Then blend the mixture for 90 seconds. Let this rest a bit, still under vacuum, before repeating the blending cycle another 2 times. Release the vacuum, pour it out, and that's it. You'll see it's milky, but fully homogeneous, and richer with the coconut flavor and a rich texture. Next up, Campari and olive oil. Same process, but here we don't have to measure out anything, because we already did that before adding it to the bag. You can wash out the bags and keep them for future use, or use bottles, like I did with the batch cocktail. Once it's in the blender, run the same cycles. Vacuum, blend, rest, and repeat 2 more times. The vacuum is what makes this possible, because there is no air being introduced, so the mixture stays stable. After the cycles, you'll get something that's lighter in color, less opaque than the coconut version, but still rich in flavor and texture. Now, peanut butter is slightly different, because it's not just fat. but also contains solids. The vacuum blending process stays the same, but instead of just pouring it out, you'll want to filter it. I wasn't sure how this would turn out, but even after filtering, the peanut butter flavor is still very intense. Lastly, let's combine our batch Negroni and coconut oil. Same as with tequila, I'm going with 3% fat. Same process, vacuum, blend, rest, and blend 2 more times. Pour it out, and this beautiful coconut Negroni is basically ready to be served. Don't forget to label your bottles. If you notice a bit of separation after a couple of days, just give it a shake before using. And if you really want to go the extra mile, you could also run another cycle in the vacuum blender. But from what I tested so far, everything has been holding together really well. As for the shelf life, this is still quite new, so I can't give you exact numbers yet, but with spirits and oils it should be shelf stable, and removing oxygen can even help extend its lifespan.
So this can last as long as, I guess, what the expiry date would be on the olive oil, but I guess with the alcohol it's going to actually extend that even longer.
With juices, it's a bit different, but we can cover that in a future episode. With our components ready, let's see how this actually works in a cocktail. Starting with the easiest option, the batch coconut Negroni. I'll make this in a mixing glass, then strain it over fresh ice, because I learned something as I was making this drink. With the batch cocktail, you just pour it in, add ice and stir for 20 to 30 seconds. I'll double strain it over a large ice block in a lowball glass. Then comes the final touch. Instead of the classic orange peel, I'll garnish it with a small orange jelly candy and finish it with a spray of 𝗏𝗲𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 pink latex. Perfect addition to this pink Negroni. 1 or 2 sprays are enough to add an aromatic layer on top, with notes of bubblegum, berries and earthiness, kind of like seasoning the drink from the outside. Strong coconut, a creamy texture, still bitter, but softer and more rounded. The spray really lifts the drink into another dimension. But what I learned with this drink is that for batch cocktails, you should use even less oil. 0.5 to 1% would probably be enough. This is what a Negroni with olive oil Campari looks like. More of the original flavors with rich texture. So yeah, go with less oil. Next up, we're revisiting something we've done before. The peanut butter sandwich, inspired by the version from one of the best bars in the world, the Handshake Speakeasy. Dancing gives us another way to make it at home, instead of flying to Mexico City. I wanted to see how dancing works with foamy cocktails, so for this one I'm combining our peanut butter infused whiskey with raspberry syrup, fresh lemon juice and egg white, a wonderful foaming solution that mimics egg white. And 2 drops of saline solution. If you want to make your own raspberry syrup, I'll leave a link to that episode. Shake everything well with ice. Then strain into a chilled rocks glass. The original PBJ cocktail had a complicated garnish, but here just added a small peanut butter strip on the outside of the glass. Let's try the peanut butter jelly dance. Smells like peanut butter. And it tastes like peanut butter and raspberry jelly. Oh, it's nice. Creamy, full-bodied. In general, I love peanut butter with jelly.
How does it compare to the peanut butter jelly that we made with vodka?
I think that would be a hard one to judge now because I would need to have them side by side. It's been like a couple of months back when I tried that one. Yeah, that one was a bit different. It was clearer with shrub, etc. So hard to judge. I like them both. Next up, a coconut margarita. First, prep the glass. Rim half of the glass with a mixture of salt and toasted shredded coconut. Place it in the freezer while you make the cocktail. Start with a chilled shaker and add a coconut tequila, followed by orange liqueur, fresh lime juice, a bar spoon of agave syrup, and a couple of drops of saline solution. Shake hard with plenty of ice, then double strain into a chilled coupe glass with salted coconut rim. Let's try the Coco Margarita. Smooth, dense, just the way I like my margarita to be made, but with a little bit of flair, which is coconut in this case. I love it. This toasted coconut and salt on the rim of the glass is a nice addition to the whole drink. I can't say more. It's lovely. Should I say more?
Better with lime on the rim?
Whose idea?
So actually what you're asking is which idea is better, Roby's or mine? My idea was to add a lime on top of the glass, or lime peel on top of a drink. But this toasted coconut and salt is his idea actually. So we saw where dancing stands out. Less fat, less time, and still very intense result, both in flavor and texture. But it still might force us to rethink something fundamental about cocktails. For a long time now, we've been chasing clarity. Clear eyes, clear drinks, clarification techniques.
What is wrong with cloudy? That's what we started realizing, let's bring back cloud again, make, the cloudiness a good thing again.
And we'll see if the cocktail world is ready for it. But there's still a lot to explore. Different fats, different spirits, or even something without alcohol. I know this is just the start for dancing.
Dancing is going to create so many more new creative ideas to go in many directions from this. I think, as we say, the first car wasn't a Ferrari, the first plane wasn't a fighter jet. So we're at the early stages, and I'm really excited that you're on this journey with us, and we're just going to keep learning and keep exploring and keep finding new things.
Before we wrap up, it's time to add new names to our wall of fame. A big thank you to our newest members and top tier patron supporters, Wolfgang Kapuy-Schwarz and Akın Kayışoğlu. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Until next time, cheers, friends of cocktails.